Welcome back to the Mr. Beacon podcast. My name's Steve Statler of Statler Consulting. We do location-aware solution design here. And this episode is episode number 43 of our podcast. And I'm really pleased this week we have Al Juarez of Fathom. So Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it was great to meet you in person. We've kind of been chatting over the months, but we met at RFID World, and we actually tried to record this in 360 degrees, but the sound was just terrible. And I've agreed to take my 360 degree camera back. I'm not giving up on the technology as a whole, but I just don't think that instantiation is the right one, and I'm waiting for the iPhone to support it. So those of you who've been frustrated by weird distorted images of my interviewees, we're going back to normal now, and I'm investing in just focusing on getting decent sound. I've got my professional mic out here. So a few bits and pieces. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. So on the 5th, we actually have a big interview with the folks at Aruba. They've got a big announcement coming out then. On the 6th, I'm going to be in Brussels at GeoIoT doing our masterclass, which is kind of a reprise of what we did at RFID World. It's a whole day of nothing but beacons, but we're going to have some demos added, and everyone, because it's a paid session, then everyone gets the copy of the book. I'm shipping those out as we speak to Brussels, and the rest of the following 2 days are amazing. It's literally the best agenda I've seen of any conference. Bruce from Grizzly Analytics has got his location test bed there, which is going to be really cool. And we've got some amazing sponsors for our masterclass: Estimote, Beacon, and HP Aruba. So, and last but not least, I'm going to be offsetting the carbon footprint of everyone that flies into Brussels for the session. So no need to hold back if you're worried about your carbon footprint, because it's taken care of. We're going to be planting some trees and putting up some windmills. So, okay, enough of the chit-chat. Let's talk about Fathom. And Al, thanks for coming back again. I did want to do this conversation justice, because I think what you're doing is very important. I kind of think of this as the year of RTLS, and also the year of the hub, the bridge, the gateway, the receiver, and those are all terms that I would use to describe what you do. Maybe we should kick off with you describing what you do.
Yeah. So what we have is a Bluetooth RTLS system, and what we've done is we've created the Fathom Hub, which is a cloud-connected gateway, has 6 directional antennas, and we're listening, sweeping around 360, and using a grid of these hubs, we are able to return an XY coordinate with a timestamp to a pretty decent accuracy between 2.5 meters. So, that in long and short of it is that's what we can do with the Fathom Hub. With either our tag, we will be releasing a tag in the second half of the year, or anybody else's tag, and that's really, I think, where we differentiate ourselves a little bit, is that we'll use anybody else's tag as long as the tag has a good signal, has a good clear signal that we can characterize. We're happy to use it.
Well, you just announced a pretty big deal with one of the other major players in this space. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we were talking to a Gimbal last year, and one thing led to another, and they have, we're actually working very closely with them on something that is still in stealth mode. We're doing testing with one of their clients, but they've got a need. They've got a lot of clients with a need for locating XY, returning an XY coordinate for their tags, and so asset tracking, people tracking, whatever it might be. That's something that we're looking forward to working with Gimbal on. I think we've got a great relationship with them, and I think that we're going to be able to do some really extraordinary things with them.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some great beacon technology. And actually, back in the day, they had a prototype receiver themselves. So it's not like they haven't thought of this and they haven't spent some time in this. So I actually think that says a lot about what you guys are doing, that they decided to work with you, because they clearly looked at what they had and what you had and decided that it was better for them to focus on the beacons and to work with someone who's doing best of breed in terms of the gateway or antenna or receivers. And I think as more and more RTLS asset tracking use cases start to come to the fore, then what you do is going to become increasingly important. What makes a good product in your space? What is different to what you do versus what other folks do?
Our parent company, we have software that runs RX networks. We have software that runs in over 1 billion handsets, and it's about locating. It's always been outdoor locating, and we do a lot of ephemeris, assisted GNSS. So taking a guys that really have spent a bulk of their last 10, 11 years figuring out what time to first fix on a satellite, when we're going to see a satellite coming up over the horizon. That's a lot of math. That's a lot of high level math. And so we took a lot of that and applied that to the indoor locating, and we chose Bluetooth. And I think what makes us different is the fact that a couple things: the grade, the quality grade of the locating technology, the algorithms that we've developed, and our go-to-market strategy is to integrate ourselves as part of a third-party solution. So that's why we've always gone out to the marketplace, or we envisioned ourselves going out to the marketplace, working with anybody's tag, not our own proprietary tag, not our own technology, but really using, we can track Fitbits, we can track anything that's putting off a Bluetooth signal. So I think that's a key differentiator for ourselves.
And I think the fact that you've got multiple antennas in that device that helps you get the edge. Tell me a little bit more about how those work, because to be honest, I thought that what you were doing was beamforming technology, that you were and you were kind of just simply looking at the relative signal strength across those antennas. Is that what you're doing, or are you doing something different?
Yeah, no, we're using angle of arrival technology. So that we have those using that a grid of our hubs, spaced 10, 15 meters apart. We're able to calculate angle of arrival. So that's where the math is. That's where a lot of considerations for building a really robust engine in the cloud comes from. So yeah, that's I suppose. If anything, thanks for catching that one. I missed that one, but yeah, it's angle of arrival that we're using to calculate location.
Well, yeah, and I think company heritage, integrations, all that stuff is important as well. So let's talk a bit about that. How big is Fathom, and how big is your parent company? Because I think people that are buying technology in this solution, they know that it's early days. They're not expecting the companies to be enormous, but they do need some reassurance that companies are going to be around in the future. Sure.
No, that's a fair question. So our parent company, RX Networks, has been around for 11 years. In fact, is just been sold off. That's pending regulatory approval. We expect that to come through the Canadian government in June. And we established Fathom. It was in skunkworks and stealth mode for a couple of years, and we came out as really last fall, and we've come out with we took 28 people from RX Networks. We left probably 10, 11 folks with RX Networks, so we're 28 strong, heavy on the engineering side.
Very good. Well, that's a good size. You can get a lot done. Let's flesh out a bit what the solution is. So there's the hardware device, angle of arrival, antenna. There's some kind of cloud service. Is there like a dashboard? Is there, what are the services that you offer?
So we originally envisioned year and a half ago, when we were 2 years ago, we were originally envisioning with all these beacon deployments going on, or anticipated beacon deployments going on around the world. We thought of Fathom as a management layer on top of all those beacons. So alarming for missing beacons, moved beacons. So we have a very simple control panel to claim your devices and manage your devices. It's not terribly sexy, but we evolved and pivoted over the past year and a half that I've been with the company, and really the power has come to be in the API, being able to plug in that location data and really use our location engine to power your asset tracking platform. That's really where the power is. So hard to see an API, but easy to see the data that feeds through it.
Yeah, and I think the proof is in what integrations you start to show, how you work with other partners, that ability, because these other partner beacons aren't necessarily simple. They have their own encryption and so forth. You need to be able to deal with that. And just last kind of nuts and bolts piece, what does it take to deploy one of these? Presumably you need some kind of power. And I'm assuming that you can just use Wi-Fi as the connectivity layer. Can you just confirm those details?
Yeah, so power is standard AC power or powered over Ethernet. So we can have either a Wi-Fi connection or an Ethernet connection. What does it take It doesn't really take more than a few minutes to set one up. I think you spend more time on a scissor lift in a factory than you do actually installing the hardware itself. So I think there's probably more moving about on a scissor lift or a high-low than there is spent the time actually installing and powering one of the units.
Okay, and so it doesn't require a huge amount of science to calibrate and that sort of thing?
No, we've got an installation mobile app. We just have to have an orientation setting. And then you just kind of walk through. It takes maybe 10-15 minutes per hub, and you're good to go.
Nice. Well, tell us about who's been using this, some of your early experiences, any case studies you want to share?
Yeah, we from my past GLO days, we picked up a client in Blacksburg, Virginia, Blacksburg Transit. Blacksburg Transit runs 50, 60 city buses, and they have a large 46,000 square foot indoor facility terminal where they park the buses every night. The buses come in 5 lanes across, about 10 deep. Bus driver gets out and just checks in and says, "I'm bus 123, and I'm empty. Fuel is empty, and maintenance is needed, and the bus is dirty." They used to pay somebody to go out and find bus 123, because then they have to go and move buses to get to it and find out where it is, and just basically set up their next day. So they used to pay somebody from the university just to kind of go around and find the bus. So I'm sorry, university student, whoever it was that lost your job. We took your job. And so they mounted. They had beacons mounted to the buses, and we mounted our hubs up in the air. And now they've got an automated system that tells them the lane and location of those buses. We have a number of other trials that are currently running. We have one at an electronics manufacturer. They are tracking the whereabouts and the movements of their employees as they go through and pick catalog items. So pick items through a warehouse, trying to figure out, is the inventory laid out the best it could be? Are there things that we could do to improve, to shorten the pick time? Instead of 3 hours, could somebody spend 2 hours or an hour and a half? So it's things like that we're working on. We're developing a number of projects in Europe. We have an office in Europe, and we are putting together projects that are sports related, not so much RTLS, but some sports related, where people mass, where people gather. But more often than not, we're spending our time on tracking the pallet, tracking the forklift, tracking the human being moving through a manufacturing space or through a warehouse space.
Very cool. All right. Any thoughts about where you see the market, the maturity of the market, where the action appears to be?
You know, a year ago, it was really difficult to see RTLS being an area of focus, especially using Bluetooth. But coming away from RFID Journal Live 27, just a couple of weeks ago, where you and I were, I think Bluetooth RTLS has a space has carved out an area in that space. I think it sits between the RFID technology. I think RFID technology is asked to do a lot of things that it wasn't really intended or designed to do, and it also sits in between to the right-hand side of ultra-wideband. Ultra-wideband is great for centimeter level accuracy, but what we discovered, a lot of folks telling us that I don't need centimeter level accuracy. I need 1 or 2 or 3 meter accuracy. That's good enough to track a 3 meter or 2 meter sized forklift. So that's really adequate. And so I think at the cost that you can get Bluetooth RTLS, I think that it makes good economic sense. There were folks at RFID Journal that were displaying their Bluetooth technology, and those stands were amongst the most crowded. They had the most folks oohing and ahhing there. So I think you're going to see a lot of things coming out in this space over the next year. I think you're getting to a very it's not very sexy, but being able to, it's very utilitarian. It serves a purpose. It solves a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I still believe in those retail experiential use cases, but it's a very subjective thing. You're asking for a real act of faith on the folks that are implementing it. And retail just has all these scalability challenges with large numbers of outlets and minimum wage staff. If you have a few factories or warehouses, they're much more concentrated. The deployment issues are much more manageable. And the ROI is pretty specific. If they're losing stuff, then how much money would we save if we didn't lose stuff? If they're spending a bunch of time on things that stopping the production line and other issues, it's very easy to look at that and calculate an ROI. So I still have a lot of faith in the retail thing. I just think that the industrial applications have a stronger engine to deploy in this early stage of the market. And so, and I would, only other thing I'd add to what you said is just the fact that Bluetooth can integrate with your Android phone and your iOS phone in fairly unique ways, I think is really interesting. And especially as the cost of tags goes down, I think what we'll see is Bluetooth kind of being incubated in that manufacturing space, and then the beacons will end up flowing through with the products and the containers into the retail space, and you'll have a almost a stealth integration into along the supply chain into retail, and then ultimately as products end up in the home. Anyway.
I would add on that some of the use cases. Folks that we approached at RFID Journal, RFID solutions providers, they came up right away. I mean, we're already working on a number of projects, putting together quotes and looking at floor plans and figuring out where's the Wi-Fi going to run. Where do we run the Cat5 for the Ethernet? It's really very basic things. When does a forklift enter a recognition zone? When does it leave the zone? When does it deliver its load? Which driver was driving it? These are very basic. We're not it's not rocket science. We're not sending anybody to the moon, but there are a lot of quality issues, a lot of production issues, a lot of things that you don't know about, what causes a cascaded effect. And if you know what time and the location that something was moved and delivered in a manufacturing environment, you can build a lot of intelligence on top of that.
Very good. All right, Al. Well, I think we're both excited about that space, that's for sure. I think you have got a really interesting offering, and I'm going to be looking out for future partnership announcements with other beacon vendors and to hear more about what you cook up with Gimbal. So, Al of Fathom, thanks a lot. And for those of you watching, don't forget, subscribe. We've got a bunch of new content coming out. Go to our website, Statler Consulting. Subscribe to us on YouTube, on Facebook, and you won't miss out.
Thanks a lot, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Tell me, Al, what are the 3 songs that you would take to Mars?
The 3 songs I would take to Mars. I think we talked about this, or I thought about this, and I like classic. I like all kinds of music. So classical music, I would start out with Handel's "Ode to Joy." Mm-hmm. I believe that was Handel. I would take Led Zeppelin's "The Song Remains the Same." I just downloaded that live album a couple weeks ago, something from my youth. And then I would be remiss if I did not include anything by Van Halen, and that would have to be "You Really Got Me."
You really got me. Okay, yep. Wonderful. Well, my foster dog has just joined us, so hopefully that means he's going to be quiet. But this is Ruckus. I don't know if you can see him. Maybe not. No, he's lying very low. Anyway, he does exist. So how did you get into this current role? You've been around the industry for a while.
Yeah, so I joined Fathom a couple of years ago, September of 2015 now. Gosh, almost 2 years ago. After a 2-year stint with Gilo. Gilo was one of the only beacon makers in the Midwest, located here, oddly enough, in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I joined them and spent a couple of years there looking after sales and business development. So we unfortunately were part of the casualties of the beacon wars, just running out of cash, as a lot of startups do, and found myself referred to Fathom through a friend. So one thing led to another, and here I am.
Very good. Well, I'm glad you are. I think what you guys are doing is really interesting.